my friends, and welcome to the miniature art desk craft. Okay, I had so much fun creating this tiny little art desk. Oh my gosh, and then all of the ideas of all of the other tiny art desks that people created, it's just amazing. So we're gonna go ahead and get started here. It's going to be wonderful. And then you will have a miniature art desk for all of your miniature art projects you have lined up. I'm sure you have tons. Okay, here we go, friends. All right, so we have all of these little bits and pieces in our little kit here. You're gonna see some toothpicks as well as all these tiny little itty bitty sequins. Okay, so here we have a cute little vial with a little lid on it. It's very fun. So what we're gonna do here very first is we're gonna take, this is a cellophane here, or as I like to refer to it, fairy skin. And we're going to be taking that and pressing it into our little vial here. Now, if you're having a hard time pressing it in here with your fingers like I am, you can actually use one of these little toothpicks here to just press that in place. All right. So this is going to be the water part of our painting station for our miniature art desk. All right, so that's easy enough to do. Okay. The next thing we're going to do here is we're going to go grab our markers. I highly recommend markers instead of colored pencils, and you're going to see why here in just a moment. So you're going to see that you have about 4 little toothpicks plus a thicker piece of like a larger skewer. The larger skewer part, we're going to set that to the side. That's going to be the paintbrush in a little while, along with this little fluffy piece. We're going to come back to that in just a little bit. Okay, so now these little tiny toothpicks here. I'm actually going to use the bag here because I don't want to get ink all over my station. So what we're going to do is start out with each color, and I'm going to actually hold my fingers in the center, and you're going to color with your marker just on the end, on the end of the little toothpick there. So I'm going to do one. I'm going to do a yellow one. I'm going to do orange on this side. So I'm going to set that down while that dries. Let's see here. Then I have a red. And then I have purple. All right. Oh, I only have 3 colors left, but I have 4 spots. Maybe I'll grab some pink or maybe or something. I'm going to do green. Whoops. I'm going to do turquoise. And I'm going to do dark blue. And since I have 1 spot left for 1 more color, I'm going to grab another marker here. Pink. Want to go with pink. We'll go with pink. Might as well since I have space for it. All right. So once you have those all done, we're going to set those to the side so those can dry because it's going to take a minute for those to dry. So we'll lean those over there. All right, so while we're doing that, we're going to put together our art desk. All right, so you have these 3 pieces here. I'm pretty sure they're all exactly the same size unless I am mistaken. So what you're going to do here is we are going to put our little desk together. Oh, I wonder if I should use, I'm supposed to have a longer one for the top. Let's see if I have. I do. So it's supposed to be 1 long one for the top and then 2 shorter ones for the legs. So that's what we're aiming for. I was wondering why that looked a little weird. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to put a line of hot glue on either side of the long skinny piece, and then these are going to be the legs of the desk, and we're going to set those in place like that. Okay? All right, so here we go. A little line of glue. Whoops! A little line of hot glue there, and a little line of hot glue here. All right, then I'm going to take my little legs of my desk, and I'm just going to set them right there on the hot glue. And I would say maybe press and hold that there for maybe, I would guess, probably about 5 seconds. Notice I did not go all the way up to the edge of the table because I want there to be like a little lip on the table. But it's kind of in maybe about 1/4 of an inch on either side. When you flip this over, it actually will hold that in place. So then that way your desk is upright. So it's just going to sit on our little table there. Okay, so now what we have is we have these 3 little pieces of paper here, okay? So this little tiny skinny one, we're gonna start with that. So I like to kind of fold the edges up just a little bit. And what I'm looking to do is I'm actually gonna adhere this to my table. It's gonna hold all of my little colored pencils or markers in place that I just created with my markers over here. So I'm gonna put a little bit of hot glue on either one of these little tabs, and then I'm gonna set that down on the little side there, and that's gonna be like where I can put like all my little like markers or whatever these little coloring tools are that you've decided to create over here. So I'm just putting a little bit of hot glue on both of those little tabs. And then I'm going to wrap this around, and I'm just going to stick this on the corner here of my little table. You can figure out whatever format you would like for your table, but this is the format I'm doing for my little table. And there's like a little pocket right there, which is really great. I can like tuck in my little pencils once these have dried, and we'll slide those in place, but I'm not going to do that quite yet. We'll get there in just a moment. All right, so now you have 2 more pieces. This would be like the little drawing that you're going to create. Ah! So excited. So I'm going to actually use my markers to create like a little art piece on this one. I'm very excited about that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Now, of course, if you know me at all, you know how much I love everything rainbowy. So I'm going to draw a cute little rainbow because it makes me happy. I'm going to start with red. We all know our colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, turquoise, which technically isn't in the rainbow, but it's going to be in my rainbow, blue, and purple. Oh, and I guess I might as well use pink, even though, again, this is not a color that's usually in the rainbow, but we'll add it in anyway. All right, so adorable. All right, so I have my little rainbow drawing, so cute. And then that's going to be on my little art table. And I'm going to have my little water container over there on the side. Okay, so now this piece, this is the last little piece here. We're going to actually be cutting this. I'm sure you saw there's like a little drawing on the other side. This is the little paint palette. So we're actually going to go ahead and we're going to cut out the little paint palette. And then if you happen to have one of these toothpicks still available, you can actually poke that. Make sure you don't stab yourself too bad. You can use, if you happen to actually have a little hole punch, you can use that too. But you can actually use the skewer or this little toothpick, maybe, let me stab it, to poke a little hole. Oh, it's not going to let me. That's okay. Well, if you can't, that's totally fine, but I'm going to use my hole punch. Because I actually have a little hole punch, so I'm going to do that now. All right, so I have my little hole punch. So there we are. We have our little painting palette. Okay. So now this is where it gets a little weird. We're on this piece of plastic from the bag. We're actually going to take our markers and we're going to color on the bag, okay? So this is just on this little plastic bag over here. And we're going to color a little bit of each color of marker onto our bag. And you probably are probably wondering why we're doing this, but I'm gonna show you in just a moment. I'm gonna show you how to do a little watercolor technique with your markers, which is really fun. Okay, all right, so now that I have all my marker colors colored on my piece of plastic over here, I'm actually going to use my paintbrush. So this is actually called a water brush, which is a paintbrush that actually has water in it. And I'm actually going to pick up, I'm going to start with my lightest color. I'm actually going to start with yellow. I'm going to pick up some of that color with my paintbrush, and I'm going to do a tiny little dot of yellow right there. And so I'm making a little paint palette. So the next color I'm going to do is going to be orange. I'm going to do a tiny little dot of orange. And then I'm going to do a little bit of red. Now I'm going to clean off my brush a little bit with the paper towel here. So then that way I'm not contaminating the other colors as I color them. All right, so now I'm going to go in and do a little bit of pink. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to do a little bit of purple. And then blue. Brush off, turquoise, and green. All right, so now I have my cute little paint palette. Adorable. Very happy with that. All right. Okay, so now that we have my little paint palette, I'm gonna put that over here on my little art desk. Okay, so now let's talk about all of these, now that our little, we're going to call them tiny markers, I guess, or little colored pencils. I'm actually going to use my scissors to just trim those. Make sure that you're, one, not cutting yourself, but two, you're not flinging pieces of your little toothpicks across the room, as I just flung a piece across the room. Pretty funny. Okay. All right. So we have all of our little pencils or markers, or whatever it is we're going to call those. So I got 4, 5, oh! 6. I flung a piece. Hold on. Let's see if I can find it. got it immediately. Yay! All right, I got 2 left. I don't want to lose any more little pieces here. Oh shoot, of course, as soon as I say that, I flung it. Oh my gosh, so silly, so silly. Okay, all right, so now we have our little markers. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna just slide these right in here into this little pocket that I've actually created. You can glue these in place if you would like. Maybe I should glue these in place. Okay, fine, you convinced me. I will glue these in place. That way they're not just falling all over the place. I'm actually gonna peel this up. If you can get them to tuck in, that's great. I'm having a hard time getting mine to tuck in, so I'm gonna put a little bit of glue on the inside of this. And then, so there's hot glue here right now. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and lay my little markers or pens or whatever we wanna call these in here. So then that way they're all like put away or whatever. I might put some of them away and some of them not put away. All right, now I'm gonna put some hot glue on the sides again and lay that back in place. All right, there we go. Okay, perfect, excellent, yes, thrilled. Okay, so now I have my little rainbow painting. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue that down. I am gonna use hot glue for this. I know that that seems ridiculous, but that's the glue we're currently using. And then I have my little water cup, and we're gonna put that up on the corner there. So I'm putting just a little bit of hot glue on the bottom of that, and I'm gonna stick that in place. Okay. And then we have this little container here, and we're gonna come back to this in a second, but I'm actually gonna go ahead and glue that down now. I'm gonna put that right here on the front part of my little desk, and you're gonna see why in just a moment. And then I have my little paint palette. So let's also make a paintbrush here. And I know I have a few more markers, mini markers that I've made, and we're gonna come back to that in just a second. All right, we are done with this, so I'm gonna set that to the side. Okay, so now let's make our paintbrush. So what we're gonna do here, and this, you might need an adult if you are a kid watching this, but if you are comfortable using hot glue, you're gonna wanna be very careful not to burn yourself here, but I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna do a tiny little bit of hot glue on the very end of this, my little paintbrush. And I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm going to take my little, the little fuzzy part here, and I'm gonna just, I'm gonna put that in place right here at the top of where that glue is, and I'm kind of just gonna press it in place. Now, hopefully by this point, your hot glue is no longer burning hot, and you're gonna kind of grab that and you're gonna kind of twist the ends a little bit, kind of pulling up some of that hot glue into the tip of the little brush here. If you happen to have any white glue, this would be when you would use that. You're gonna kind of twist it to be kind of brush shape, okay? All right, so there we have our little paintbrush, or it kind of looks at least mostly like a little paintbrush. It's not perfect, but it's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect because it's artsy. That's the whole point. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little line of glue over here on the side, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna adhere our paintbrush in place. Or this thing that mostly looks like a paintbrush. And then we have our little paint palette, and I'm gonna set that on top of my little paintbrush. Again, just a little bit of hot glue on the back here, and I'm gonna stick that in place right there on top of my paint palette. Oh yes, so cute. Okay, now if you happen to have any white glue, I would probably recommend that next. If you don't have any white glue, you can use hot glue for this next part. You just need to be very careful. But what you're gonna do here is we're gonna put some tiny little dots to glue down some of these little sequins. Like if you happen to have white glue, I probably would more recommend that than hot glue, but this is just where we're at. So I have some 3 little tiny dots of hot glue there, and I'm gonna go ahead and just glue on some of my little sequins because they're so cute, and why not? I love them. Let's get a different color in here. Yes, so cute, so fun and magical. All right, so now I'm gonna put on my 3 other little mini markers here. I'm just gonna put a tiny little dot of glue on each of these, so that way they're much easier to actually stay in place. And I'm just gonna stick those down just to show that we're in the process of creating. And I'm just gonna stick where my little markers kind of wherever they're gonna fit, because I don't know where they're gonna fit best on here. So I'm just gonna put those up here at the top. All right, okay. The last thing we're gonna do is we have all these little sequins left over. So all of the tiny little sequins you have left over, you're just gonna grab those and kind of gather them up the best that you can, and you're gonna stick those in this tiny little sequin cup that we glued down here in the corner. And that's just to show that yes, we're creating art, and then we're decorating with tiny little sequins, and then there's more sequins to choose from for the future. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. It's so cute. Yes, 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 yes. All right, and there we have miniature art desk, my friends. Isn't it so cute? Oh my gosh, I love it so, 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 so much. So up on our website, we have a blog where sometimes we do tutorials or we just kind of tell you what's kind of going on. We've been kind of behind recently, but we're getting back into it. And the reason I bring that up is that so many people made amazing miniature art desks when we ran this craft for a make and take. And so I highly recommend you head over and take a look at all of the other ones that people made because I just cannot handle it. They are so, so cute. All right, friends, thanks for joining us for the miniature art desk craft. I hope you had a great time, friends. We'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.